Malaysia is stepping up pressure on Goldman Sachs. PM Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad in a CNBC interview says that Goldman Sachs had cheated Malaysia over its dealings with 1MDB. As a result, he says that US prosecutors had promised to help return the money. Mahathir adds that there is evidence that Goldman Sachs had done things that are wrong. Goldman Sachs had earned about 600 million USD in fees for its work with 1MDB, which included 3 bond offerings. The bank's share price fell to its lowest in nearly 2 years after Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng says that Malaysia would seek a full refund, meaning not just the fees but also consequential losses. For Dixon MP, Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim had called for more aggressive claims against the bank. KWB analyst Brian Klein-Hansel wrote in an email that plenty of negative headlines are weighing on investors' minds, Bloomberg reports. Goldman Sachs' shares fell 7.5% on Monday, the steepest it has seen since 2011. To recap, last week, 3 senior Goldman Sachs bankers were implicated by the US DOJ over dealings with 1MDB. The firm says it is cooperating with investigations and may face significant fines. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng says luxury car owners will not receive the petrol subsidies announced in Budget 2019, even if their vehicle engines are 1,500cc and below. After receiving feedback on the proposal, Lim says the government is currently reviewing and refining the mechanism. He says the implementation of the targeted subsidy will take into account not only the capacity of the engine, but also the car model. For example, Lim says, luxury cars such as Mercedes, BMW, Land Rover, Audi or Volkswagen with 1,500cc engine capacity and below would not qualify for the targeted petrol subsidy. The new mechanism is expected to start in the second quarter of 2019. With 2 billion ringgit allocated in the budget, 4 million car owners and 2.6 million motorcycle owners are expected to benefit. The Reda Institute is proposing for the government to set up a residential REIT to provide rental public housing for the B40 group as an alternative solution to home ownership. Referring to the recently announced Fund My Home scheme, Chairman Dato Jeffrey Eng says that while it aims to increase home ownership, the B40 may not even be able to afford the 20% down payment. Citing its own research, Eng says the B40 group earns less than 2,300 ringgit a month, and clearly the majority of them will not be able to afford homes. Based on Reda's study, the proposed residential REIT would require 4,100 acres of land, of which the government would build 1 million high-rise units. This would cost the government an estimated 220 billion ringgit over the period of 10 years or 2 government terms. Once the proposal is formalized, it will be submitted to the MOF and the Housing Ministry. If the ministries are agreeable, then the proposal will head to the Securities Commission. Poultry and eggs firm Lei Hong and its substantial shareholder Japan's NH Foods have officially opened their new manufacturing plant today in Pulau Indah. The plant will be operated by NHF Manufacturing Malaysia, which is 51% owned by NH Foods and 49% by Lei Hong. The JV is optimistic about its long-term prospects due to the demand for its processed foods in the domestic and export markets, as well as the upcoming Tokyo 2020 Olympics. NH Foods Director and Senior Managing Executive Officer Hiroji Okoso said, with a production capacity of 1,200 tons per month for the first phase, this halal frozen food manufacturing facility was designed to cater not only to the local market but to export markets, such as Middle East countries, Singapore and Japan as well. The plant is slated to start exporting the products in the second half of 2019, with a ratio of 60% export and 40% domestic. Poultry and egg farmer Teo Seng Capital saw its net profit jump more than 6 times to just over 7 million for the third quarter of FY18 from 1.13 million ringgit. According to Teo Seng, the improved earnings were due to better selling prices of eggs and higher sales quantities coupled with lower feed cost. Revenue for the quarter also grew 14.6% to 125.26 million ringgit, up from 109.29 million ringgit a year ago. For the 9-month period of FY18, net profit grew to 13.1 million ringgit thanks to its strong quarterly results. This was a vast improvement compared with last year, where the company was in the red, reporting a loss of just over 11 million ringgit. Revenue for the same period grew 12.1% to 343.06 million ringgit from 306.04 million ringgit a year ago. In view of the current stable selling price, Teo Seng expects its financial performance for the remaining 3-month period to be satisfactory.